Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another SAE Government Technologies LinkedIn Live event. My name is Mark Pickett, and I am the Technology Transfer Program Manager here at SAE Government Technologies. For those of you who don't know, SAE Government Technologies collaborates with government, industry, and universities to solve the toughest mobility technical challenges. I'm here today with Nanci Hardwick, CEO of MELD Manufacturing based in Christiansburg, Virginia. Today, we're talking about additive manufacturing, and specifically, we're discussing metal additive manufacturing and the critical importance of workforce development. Just a note to our audience, if you have questions, please use the comment section, and we'll be sure to address those questions at the end of the event today. Welcome, Nanci.
Hi, Mark.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. It's always nice to see you. And we're happy to have you on the show today. Tell us about MELD Manufacturing and a little bit about your journey, because I love your story.
Thank you. Well, yeah, and we've known each other a few years now. I've been working on bringing this technology to a real manufacturing tool for industry for a very long time, about to celebrate 17 years.
Wow.
So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. Probably somebody smarter with more resources could have done it faster, but here we are. Proud of where we've gotten to. We started out with the concept and have been very lucky to have the support of industry, from space to shipbuilding, to allow us to develop that technology into a manufacturing tool that allows folks to print metal components, usually with forged properties or a little bit better at literally any size. And it's been a journey that has taken me around the world, on ships and into manufacturing plants and places I've been so honored to be able to peek inside of and see how things are really made.
That's fantastic, and it just blows my mind to think that you've been at this for 17 years. So I'm never going to doubt your perseverance. I mean, I think as a young lady in a tech field and a manufacturing environment, I think you probably had just initially some headwind, and you were able to keep after it year after year after year after challenge, and now you're starting to see, well, you've had some tremendous success over the last at least handful of years that I can see, and certainly that's building momentum going forward. So kudos to you, and congratulations to your success.
Thank you very much. Well, what we're doing is important, and I'm excited to share it as far and wide as I can. I mean, we're here to serve humanity.
That's a very similar, statement to the SAE's mission statement, and that's to advance mobility solutions for all of humanity. So I think we're aligned there. You mentioned we've known each other for a few years. I think back to when we first met, and I think it's around the time that Ingersoll Rand was building the large additive friction stir deposition machine with your technology for the Rock Island Arsenal, and also the smaller machine that has gone into SAE's Advanced Manufacturing and Commercialization Center in Sterling Heights, Michigan. From your perspective, I'd love to hear, especially now looking back and then as we look to the future, can you tell us about that program that's relevant to those two machines and MELD's role?
Yeah, I love to talk about it, but also I'll point out, actually, when we met, you were not yet a part of SAE.
That's right.
We did not know just how much our worlds would collide, how much serendipity would be at play. And I remember meeting you and thinking, that's someone I would like to get to know better, and someone who gets things done. So, and that turned out very much to be true. When we were first approached by the Army, I did not believe that they would go forward with the idea that I was hearing. to make this gigantic printer. And at that time, it was not guaranteed that it would be the MELD technology. It was not a technology dependent concept. The idea was how can this capability become a reality for the Army. And obviously we were so humbled and honored to be selected unanimously by the group who selected a technology to build that giant printer around. Beyond the obvious benefits of the printing capability itself, and what will be possible with that kind of demonstration capability. For me, one of the things that was most exciting about being a part of that project, or even just observing that project from the outside, was the signal the U.S. Army created by telling the United States, um, other departments of defense, and really the world, how important they feel additive is and how scalable additive can be. I think it took a lot of courage. I'm sure it took a lot of years, and you talk about perseverance. I think a lot of people had to work very hard to make that project a reality, and we all benefit from it because these major investments signal to industry, and they signal to the additive community, industry is ready. This is the future. We will be making large scale components. And in MELD, every day the definition of large gets a little bit bigger. I really thought no one would top that. I thought that would be the world's largest printer for forever, but the calls keep coming in to see what else is possible. So it just goes to show, leadership and vision comes from all directions. But yeah, I think it's been a critical project and a real milestone for the industry as a whole. And I've been delighted to be a part of it.
Yeah, me too. And just to see it go through all the, the different steps in development. So just for the audience, so they get a sense of how large this machine is in Rock Island. It's the size of a pretty decent sized house. Yes. But the print volume itself and what we're trying to do there, I think, is we're trying to print a combat hull at scale. So that gives people a sense of, a combat vehicle or a tank or an optionally manned fighting vehicle, what that looks like. So in terms of feet, XYZ, do you have that at the tip of your mind?
I have big round numbers. So this is not exactly precise, but 20 feet wide, 30 feet deep, 12 feet high, I believe are the big round numbers. And yeah, I'd be all right in a house the size of that machine.
Yeah, no kidding. Same. So just for the audience, there's a platform, and the machine sort of hangs over this platform area, this print volume, and it runs on two very large rails, and there's a gantry that spans those rails. And so the machine takes the print data and just goes to work and takes, metallic rods through a ram and applies a certain amount of pressure and plasticizes the material, doesn't melt it, which is very key in terms of its performance and the integrity of the part at the end of the print. So it's a pretty fascinating thing to see, especially as it's printing. So I've always been fascinated with that.
Yeah, it's a wonder, and really in terms of how much hardware real estate belongs to MELD, that's very small. The gantry system that was designed and fabricated by Ingersoll is the machine platform, and then the MELD hardware that allows it to be an additive machine was added or integrated, and of course Siemens was a partner on that project as well. And
sure.
And there's another machine in your care for industry to collaborate on as well, I believe.
That's right. And the print volume is not quite as big. I think it's a cubic meter, but still large in some cases. But I believe an engineer from Ingersoll told me the gantry was 100,000 pounds by itself. So again, giving you a sense of how large that machine is. I want to come back to, I don't want to pick at 17 years too much, but because I'm getting a little old myself. But
that's funny. I just looked like, how many of my gray hairs can be seen in this image?
Well, working on the same project, I would imagine, does not bode well for gray hair. But anyway, you look fantastic. In 17 years, I mean, can you talk about just the nature of the AM community and from the metal perspective?
Yes. Yeah.
You must have seen some tremendous transformation.
Yes. Oh, what a privilege. I mean, I have said and thought for a long time, not too many people get to experience, firsthand and up close, a new era. And I feel additive is a new era for industry and for manufacturing. And it's just been so much fun to have a front row seat and be a part of it. In the beginning of my journey, additive was not a word we said. There was, we've kind of been through it all, right? 3D printing, additive. There have been a lot of names for our technology and our young industry. But in the beginning of my journey, really barely anyone I spoke with knew any of them. And so when I tried to explain what I thought our capabilities were, I was met with a tremendous amount of skepticism. And I'm not sure, how successful I would have been if the additive industry didn't grow up around me and really change the paradigm of the world. And it was fantastic to inspire people. All of a sudden, and rather than you do what? What do you mean you don't melt the metal? People were saying, "Hey, do you do additive? Can I talk to you about that?" We need to figure out an additive strategy at our company. And so much easier to share what's possible when the pathway to explore it is already open. But yeah, it's been tremendous, and so many pioneers have made their contributions to the industry and in all types of materials. So, I mean, it's been amazing to be able to become friends with those folks and share their journey too.
Absolutely. I think about a common friend that we have. We visited in Harrisburg University in Pennsylvania, and we were talking about the acceleration of innovation and the fact that it's really starting to accelerate. And so as we celebrate that, that's one side, but the other side is that we really have a deficiency in technical skills and workforce that can keep pace with that innovation and actually be the folks, the engineers, the technicians that run those machines and develop those processes and so on. And so really the topic of the day today is workforce development in the context of metal additive manufacturing. So can you speak to that a little bit about, that acceleration and why additive manufacturing, number one, is so important, but especially in the context of the defense industrial base?
Yeah, I also want to comment about the rate of innovation. It's amazing. There was a time when whatever anyone wanted to know about the MELD technology, they came and asked MELD. And now I go to a MELD user group and I listen to presentations by our customers and think, oh, wow. Not only is that accomplishment amazing, I didn't even know you were working on that. So it's so fun to see the rate of innovation and knowledge and understanding grow exponentially. And to do that, it does come back to machines installed and a user community, which runs the spectrum of machine operator to material scientist to business people who have to make the financial justifications. So when we talk workforce development, we talk a lot about the guy right in front of the machine, but the need is across the spectrum. There's so much that we need, and its importance is made obvious every day. For me, I'm particularly motivated to see our technology be useful in mankind's exploration of space, but industries all over the globe are coming to our door, and particularly the MELD AM modality, because of a shortage of getting large metal components quickly, or even metal billets to machine down apart. For our defense industrial base, that's really what it comes down to, is bringing back autonomy and self-reliance, being able to manufacture in country, source materials in country, and being able to innovate quickly. When you are prototyping a new vehicle, whether it's for air or sea, you might need quantity one or two of large metal components. Very difficult to get, very difficult to move up to the front of the line for those lower quantities. So serving the current need, but also creating next generation product, that it all comes back to metal AM.
Yeah, and I think maybe the traditional approach, at least from my short experience, has been, let's take a subtractive CNC person and convert them to an additive person, as opposed to maybe exposing students and college engineering, but not only just engineering, but young people that maybe want to take a vocational pathway to a skilled trade, and a technician approach to participating in the additive manufacturing space. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity to create enthusiasm around metal additive manufacturing. And certainly we need to create a talent pipeline, because as we look at the geopolitical landscape these days, and we look at places where a conflict could occur, there's going to be contested logistics, and it's going to be difficult to get parts to the front lines to sustain forces. And so we need to have, like you said, we need to reshore that capability, and the individuals that are going to support the defense industrial base. What are some of the barriers do you see? Why haven't we cracked this code? The DoD is probably one of the largest employers of engineers. So is it just lack of awareness? Do you think it's lack of concerted, focused effort? All the above? What's your perspective?
And you're asking specifically, why don't we have more folks at the ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gosh, everywhere I look, and anyone with any ability to influence this situation is working on it. So I would say the awareness is very high that this is a need. For many, there's a high awareness that there's plenty of opportunity here. I logistically, we're ushering in a new era, and nothing this big and this new happens overnight. I was just on a phone call yesterday with some of our local partners. One of them is New River Community College. great workforce development, great training resource that I personally rely upon for my companies. And they're at the ready, but they can only do so much to support training on specific equipment, cutting edge technologies, when they don't have those technologies, when they don't have the facilities to put the equipment into, when they don't have staff that are already trained, curriculum that's already developed. So it's a big investment to be made to put the machines in facilities that students can get to. That's step one. And then facilitating those students making their way to programs to participate. That's really step two. And I do think a lot of folks are working on it, but I wish, it's one of the things I'm working on. I'm trying to see facilities with machines in them right in my own backyard, and we have them in the state, but we all need more.
Absolutely. Thanks. I appreciate your comments. SAE has a professional development group within SAE International. I think we have over 450 classes and training programs deployed broadly in the mobility space. But I think that is a muscle that we can exercise and a capability we can leverage to focus directly on additive manufacturing. And so you and I have talked about leveraging that capability before, and I'm looking forward to actually, putting rubber to pavement on that. And then additionally, our university programs, our collegiate design series, the Baja, Formula Baja, and the other things that we're doing in autonomy. I also think that there could be an element, an aspect of additive manufacturing as these students collaborate, design and build mobility platforms and then compete. I think that's another way to improve the exposure to at least university students. But I'm glad you mentioned New River, because we were working on a collaborative effort last year, and unfortunately, due to some challenges, we couldn't take it over the goal line with the proposal. But it really focused on marginalized communities and underserved communities. We were gonna leverage those local community colleges and pull them into, some of the universities that had MELD assets that we could then, perform training and create awareness and maybe motivate students to either go into a 4-year program or just motivate them, to take their vocational training over the goal line so that they could contribute and find employment in additive manufacturing. And I think we can do more of that in the future.
Yeah, I really liked that particular initiative because it did target communities of students that might not otherwise be targeted. And I do think there's so many resources out there for us if we can just help get smart, capable folks to a place where they can get the training. I really think that SAE has a big role to play here, as do the universities, as do our community colleges. I'm a part of the VMA, which is the Virginia Manufacturers Association. They do training. If you want to go fast, you leverage the strengths of the resources already available. And I shouldn't be the person trying to figure out how to train. But I definitely should be the person supporting people like you and those I mentioned to make sure you can deliver with the infrastructure you already have in place.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, I believe there's a celebration, congratulations in order with respect to the Tech Hub in Virginia. I think that's adjacent, if not dead center, in the middle of workforce development. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, I am very proud to say that the federal government awarded my community a Tech Hub grant. The criteria was to have inside the community a technology with international appeal, significant economic development opportunity for the community, and obviously support within the community, to really build an ecosystem around additive. And we were selected. Our community includes Danville, so the advanced ADTM, and the Navy's Center of Excellence for Additive. They're included, and many partners. I think over 50 organizations are partnering, and this is all about how do we train, how do we encourage all the support organizations, machine shops, heat treatment, inspection technologies, you name it, everything that that industry needs to be successful with additive. How do we create an environment in which all these members of the industry can be successful? And I'm very hopeful that next time you visit, or one day in the future when you visit, there'll be a facility here with machines where folks are being trained. And thanks to Congressman Griffith, we have a step in the right direction for that, between Virginia Tech and New River with MELD technology. So at least MELD technology, there'll be some training next time you come visit, but I'd love to see a much broader facility with all the modalities, because obviously MELD is near and dear to my heart, but it is not the only tool we need to be successful with additive in industry.
For sure, but I think that experience and that model could be expanded and replicated across the country, with modifications to accommodate that local geography and landscape and participants. But expectations are high, but I'm sure that you're going to be able to model that so others can follow, and we can make a big impact in the workforce development space, additive manufacturing space.
I can just add, what's really exciting to me about it is where I am in Virginia, we have such a legacy and a proud history of manufacturing, and this is an opportunity to take that and just move it into the next era, build upon it, not transform it, not replace it, but build upon it. And I do see many other communities in the United States that could do the same.
Yeah, one layer at a time. So I'm giggling a little bit because it reminds me of a conversation we had where you were a little bit frustrated because you were really trying to evolve your tech, and you're like, my gosh, I'm making parts for people, and I love making parts for people, especially with MELD technology, but I'm really trying to get to MELD 3.0 and 4.0. And so you developed PrintWorks, which was brilliant. Talk a little bit about the launch of PrintWorks and what it's all about.
Well, actually, I am talking to you from PrintWorks right now. So yes, I am having so much fun over here. Last year, I launched a separate company at MELD Manufacturing. We were just trying to do it all for everybody, and we're small. And so in an effort to allow people to focus on what was most important, I started a whole new company dedicated to printing parts with the MELD technology. So I think I'm maybe one of the only service bureaus in this part of the state whose whole business is additive. But PrintWorks is just full of MELD machines making metal parts for a living. And so I can tell you, I need a workforce.
I bet.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have a place to send employees and have them come out with their MELD operator certificate and learn about engineering and design for MELD. So yes, it's been so much fun.
Well, maybe we can collaborate and create that curriculum together, and then, deploy that to other places that are receiving MELD machines. I think that as a company scales, I'm hearing more and more about, the National Institute for Aviation Research. They're getting their MELD machine, and the Air Force is getting their MELD machine, and these your success is creating quite a demand for folks that are then going to be operating those machines. Can you talk about where you're at now as a company, and where some of these machines are going that you're excited about?
Oh, yes. Well, we now have machines with the major players in the space industry. So I'm obviously very proud of that. I'm glad to be of value and of service there. And right now in the US, investments in being able to manufacture chips is very important. So the semiconductor equipment industry is a place where we're very busy at the moment.
Wow.
Shipbuilding, obviously, lots of history there for us with MELD, and then aerospace. And it's been very fun to start to move into civil aircraft projects in the aerospace industry around the world. For me, all of our customers are exciting. I mean, it's just such a privilege to be able to be a part of the manufacturing challenges of so many industries. It's fun to play in other people's backyards for a little while and think about the things that they're facing, and think about their products, and think about how we can help. What can we do differently to be a better service in the future? But the more machines we install, the greater the need for workforce. So, if at this point the workforce demands are great, I can only imagine what they'll be, 3, 4, 5 years from now. So we really collectively have a lot of work to do to make sure that we're ready, because having the technology and having the equipment and having the material is only gets you so far if you don't have the talent to do something with it.
Absolutely. So I think there's another big news story for MELD, and that is a large contract that you just received from the Air Force. Can you talk about the nature of that contract, and what the intent is and purpose, and how you think that's going to play out? That'd be good to know.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We were very excited. I don't think I've ever seen that many zeros on a contract before. But it is an IDIQ contract, so it is important to clarify it's an opportunity, and now we have to earn the right to do work and to receive task orders on the contract. So we're excited to have projects that we do ourselves or with our partners that demonstrate value to the Air Force. And it's all about sustainment. It's all about serving at the point of need, at the time of need, with both new product, new supply, and then repair. So yeah, really very appreciative of the opportunity to serve, and really appreciate just the confidence that was demonstrated by the Air Force in that and other commitments they've made to the MELD technology. Again, I really think we owe a debt of gratitude to anyone who makes a big pledge to Additive, and that's what they did for MELD and many others.
Yeah, well, to me, my perception of that, because I've been fortunate to have been part of conversations with different branches of the military, and at least my initial observation is they were taking just a slightly different pathway to additive usage and use cases, and also adoption and part qualification. And one might imagine that additively manufacturing a part that goes on a land vehicle versus something that flies through the air might look a little bit different in terms of part qualification. So I was excited to see that award, because I think it's signaling that there is this shift in adoption, and people are starting to collaborate and talk across service and say, how can we collaborate and get to a place where we can confidently print parts and feel confident that they're going to work at least for a period of time, and really support sustainability.
I think that what is remarkable, or at least notable, is the shift from focus on risk of failure to focus on the risk of loss of opportunity. I hadn't really thought about that before, but it's been a long time since I felt I was engaged in conversation around why it won't work, why it's a bad idea, just additive in general.
Right.
But there was a time that was true, and now I think there's a lot more thought and energy put into how do we make sure we maximize every opportunity we have to go as fast and as far as possible, safely, smartly.
Sure. Absolutely. So again, to the audience, if you have questions, I think we're starting to get some comments now. Go ahead and put your questions in the comment section. I want to leave enough time for us to answer questions here today in our LinkedIn Live event. One of those questions, by the way, you have fans, so I have to just shout out to Lisa Block, who I'm also a fan, Lisa, so I get it. She says, "Go Nanci, so good to see you keeping AM in the forefront." So,
I'm a fan of Lisa.
I second that notion. But so we were just talking about part qualification a minute ago. From your perspective, what does the future look like in terms of the MELD technology, additive manufacturing, and part qualifications across the DoD? I know we're picking on Department of Defense a little bit, but I think it's a good topic, especially today.
Yeah. Again, there was probably a time when I thought things are moving. I'm an impatient person. I know you know that.
17 years? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't say I did it, but handled it patiently though. They weren't. So there was a time when I probably thought, yeah, it's not moving fast enough. People aren't doing enough, but I do see a lot happening around qualification right now, and again, it's a big lift. There's a lot to do, a lot to figure out, a lot to contemplate and make sure we're getting it right, because as you say, lives will be on the line. I feel very confident in the efforts that I'm seeing. I have wondered, how we could streamline qualification. For example, MELD is an outlier in how it works, and the fact that we're not melting and resolidifying metal makes it different enough that work, those standards aren't exactly a one-for-one match. And so now there are organizations and institutions that are working on specifications and standards specifically for MELD. And it does, and we're just at the beginning of the whole AM revolution. So who knows how many more technologies we'll have 5 years from now. So it does cause me to wonder, is there a way for us to set up this qualification infrastructure so that it could be more accommodating of new technologies, and I don't know the answer to that because it's a tough job, but I do appreciate everyone that's working on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's an important topic. Another question is, let me see here. From your perspective, both of you, what do you see in the context of workforce development? What do you see that's working, and maybe activities and efforts that have failed and haven't worked so well?
Okay, well, I'll go first if you don't mind. I mean,
Sure.
I've been up to the university in Harrisburg. I've been down to the center in Danville. I've been in a few other locations, not necessarily for additive yet, but I've been to community colleges. What I see as a best practice is having the equipment. Hands-on training, there's nothing like it. I mean, there's no amount of book work that can replace being in front of a machine. And that's about the most expensive way to train an entire workforce. But that's what I see working.
Yeah, I can see that, and hands-on works for me as a learner. So it just makes a lot of sense that if you're going to learn how to operate machinery and drive technology forward, that you actually put your hands on, actually do the work as you learn. From my perspective, I think about additive manufacturing data, like aggregating other experiences and building a repository and library of data that can be shared and democratized across the space, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time somebody goes to print an aluminum alloy. There's a foundation that's being built as this additive community is building data and getting stronger and learning and sharing, and then taking that data and creating standards so that when your machine arrives at a customer, they've got some things they've got curriculum, they've got standards that they can leverage to shorten their learning curve and start making parts that qualify. So I think data and standards, of course, I'm a little bit biased being an SAE person, but I'm talking about all standard development organizations and all companies that are out there trying to move the needle in additive manufacturing, especially in metal. So that's my perspective of what can make an impact. And also, I'll just complete my thought with collaboration. When you've got government stakeholders coming to the table, you've got industry participants like yourself, and you've got academia collaborating, that's a powerful mixture.
Yeah.
And I think that with government funding and stakeholder engagement, we can really make a big impact in workforce development.
I definitely think we have to share everywhere that we can, that we're comfortable. That was a big motivation for me to set up the MELD user groups and to get my customers together, because I saw they were not talking and often didn't know. And sometimes, multiple organizations inside the same Department of Defense were pursuing the same activity without realizing their neighbor was. So I did see a need to help people connect. Many people want to collaborate. They just are unaware of others to collaborate with and need a forum. So I think that is an important piece maybe that we could consider when we talk about workforce development, is just how do we bring people back and keep getting that feedback? Because that is the accelerator for innovation, is to come together and to share information and build on each other's accomplishments, rather than all progress at the same exact pace independently.
Yeah, well said. I'll just hang out for a couple more minutes in case we get a late question here. I think we've gone through the questions that I've received. Nanci, thank you so much for your time. Always great to interact and see you, and look forward to visiting Virginia very soon. Thanks, Charlie and Tracy, behind the scenes making this happen. Really appreciate you. And I look forward to collaborating in workforce development, Nanci.
Always. Yeah. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good afternoon.
You too.